Welcome, everybody. I am kind of mad at Rough Rider right now. I have some of their products, and some of their products are fantastic. I'm not necessarily saying Rough Rider is bad in general, but there is one particular knife that out of box disappointed me, and now about a little over a month down the road, disappoints me even more. And it is their Scout King camp knife here. Their Boy Scout with the micarta scales and stuff. And I've mentioned things like the loose bent bail that wasn't even attached through the tools there. It's attached in the brass bolsters, the scratching of the blades and things, and it's not a good knife. Do not buy the Rough Rider Scout knife. I would much rather, before I show what's wrong with this, I would much rather you buy, if you're going to buy a Scout knife, a Marbles GI utility knife, or a Dave Canterbury Scout King. Both of these made by Marbles. I want to check out the Boker Pocket Steel Classic or whatever it's called, their Scout knife. That looks good. I want to get my hands on that, and I'll do a review on that down the road someday. The one complaint I have about this knife is oversized can opener creates a hot spot when you're using the blade. But aside from that, lovely knife. Fantastic. I carry this a lot. This is probably my most carried of these three Scout knives. This has the exact same tools as the Rough Rider, but there's a few differences. The bail is different. It's pinned all the way through the tools by the looks of things. It's made so much better. Sturdier bail, a nice blade, a decent can opener, pocket lint all over it, flathead driver, and next to no blade plate in the tools, even after strenuous use. A very sharp awl that's almost razor scalpel sharp there. Very nice. I love this knife. Now, yes, it doesn't have the micarta, it doesn't have the brass bolsters, but if you're wanting to get a cheap camp knife or a first knife for a Boy Scout or something, recommend that. I am intrigued with how good that is. And let's go over the price ranges. This, $7 for this. $13 if you get the one with this camp spork. That's pretty cheap. And it's sturdy, stays sharp a decent amount, comes sharp, is good. I love it. David Canterbury knife, like $20-something, $22. Fantastic. Lovely. Holds up delightfully well. The Scout King by Rough Rider, about $22. Same price as this, 3 times more than this. And we have rust. Now, I don't know how well that's showing up there, but I think you can kind of see that is rusting. Now, I understand, and I'm going to make some knife people mad here. I don't maintain some of my blades because I know that they are carbon steels, and I want to see how quickly do they rust. Now, some carbon steels, for it to be steel, it has to have carbon. If you see, before I go too much farther into this, I'm going to ramble a bit here. If you go to a fireplace store, you get a cast iron skillet. That is a lot of carbon, and you've seen those suckers rust. That's because they've got too much carbon. That makes them very brittle, makes them rust quick. If you've seen an iron railroad spike, those rust, but they're also very soft and malleable because there's no carbon to add strength to that. When you start adding carbon to the iron, you make it into a steel. For it to be steel, it has to have a certain amount of carbon, okay? I'm not aware of all the percentages, but for it to be steel, it has to have carbon. Now, stainless steel is carbon steel with some chrome thrown into it to prevent overdue rusting. So, that aside, these are carbon steels, but they are stainless carbon steels. Now, they are not perfectly stainless. Over time, they will rust. But I have had these all over a month now, and these are still shiny as can be. And even these have been in the sweaty pockets, moist the humidity of my pants pockets on a warm day. You think that would amplify the rust? This has been sitting inside a dry room in my house, and it's rusting this bad in a month. That tells you how bad this rust issue is on this knife. And to pull out the knife blade here, you can still see there's a certain amount of shiny, okay? Still a shiny knife blade overall, but the spines are hopelessly rusted. I've tried to get that out. It does not come out. The can opener, rusting from where I've scratched it opening cans. I don't know. Try and get that to show up. You can see the color difference there. That is the rust showing up on that. Again, the spines of all the tools are rusted. I want to break my fingernail if I'm not careful here. There we go. Also, that thing's so hard to open. But rust is creeping down on that. On the inside here, the awl here got some rust going down the sharpened edge and down the spine. And it's not good. And it's just getting worse. And for the price, I understand Rough Rider is a budget brand. You shouldn't expect a lot. But look at an Opinel. They can make stainless steel pocket knives for the same price. Fantastic. David Canterbury, a well-known survivalist expert, designed this knife. And he used better steel than Rough Rider. Marbles, just a generic army knife, used better steel. And you're telling me Rough Rider could not do the same thing? This is disappointing here. Now, I have had several other Rough Riders that have a slightly different steel, and they're holding up nicely. But for a scout knife, this is disheartening. I am not pleased with this knife at all. Like I said, I'd much rather see you buy one of these or buy a Swiss Army knife for a scout knife. These things are fantastic, of course, but everybody knows Victorinox. We're trying to show off the weird scout knives that no one knows about. Like I said, I want to get a Boker knife. They have some scout knives that I'm interested in. I want to get my hands on one of those. But I am disheartened and disappointed with Rough Rider on this knife. If they would change up the steel, it would be a lot better. I don't like how they didn't do the pin all the way through the tools on this. But even this knife, I liked a lot better. But it's just like this knife has so many issues with it. I've said this before in a previous video, before the rust became an issue. But do not buy this knife. Do not buy this Rough Rider, Highlander, Scout King, whatever they call this thing. They really only have one scout knife at the moment that's like this with the micarta scales. Do not buy this. This is trash. I would much rather you buy a different Rough Rider that's not a scout knife, or consider going with the Marbles brand, which is a subsidiary of Rough Rider. You'd think it would carry over some. Buy either the GI utility knife or the David Canterbury Scout King. This is the Camp King. This is the Scout King. I might have been saying it wrong this video. But buy one of these two, or for the same price as this, pretty much, or about 30 bucks. This 22, add $8. Buy the Boker knife. Boker's got to be better than this piece of garbage right here. This is just, do not put that in your cart. Do not waste your money on that knife. Buy one of these two or buy something else. Now, there are other Rough Rider knives that, like the Granddaddy Barlow. I love that knife. That thing is huge. It's nice. It's holding up well. Fantastic. Rough Rider does make some good knives, but they just fell flat on their face with this. This is trash. This is garbage. That may show up in a video down the road if something else happens to it. I'm trying to use it a little bit, but there's not much I can do about it. Especially when I'd much rather carry a different knife. And rust isn't necessarily a make it or break it thing. I understand there's ways to keep, if you really kept up on your knife, you could keep the steel from rusting. But even this Opinel number 6 here, with its rust, was not nearly as bad as this and took longer to generate than the Rough Rider. Now, I've cleaned it up a little bit because I want to use it, but the rust was not ever this bad to begin with. I have a Zvord Mini Peasant, and it's already showing signs of rust 3 days into me using this knife. But I'm going to keep up on it, and it's going to be a nice little knife. I'm not going to maintain it, religiously necessarily, but I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to keep it dry, keep it oiled a little bit, not a lot, because I want it to rust. I want it to patina. But it hasn't rusted as bad as this. And out of all the knives that I have bought for this channel, to review on this channel, this is the one I was hoping for being a good knife and fell well below standards, acceptable standards. And I don't think my standards are all that high and mighty. I'm asking for a cheap Scout knife to have a basic stainless steel that's not going to rust within a week. This took about a month, but you get the idea. I'm stopping the video before I go too far. This knife is just getting up my craw here. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you found it useful. Hope you found it informational. Hope it helps you build your ADC to your standards. And until the next time, farewell, carry well, and bye-bye, and yeet.